Here we have a new feature-packed phone from Xiaomi, the Xiaomi 14T. What's this phone all about, and could it be the upper mid-ranger you're looking for? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and this is our Xiaomi 14T review. Wait, hold up. Before we move on with our full review, I have some exciting news to share. This is our last video from this studio. In fact, the movers have already gotten started, so we better get cracking with the Xiaomi 14T. The Xiaomi 14T may be the lesser phone in the duo, but next to the 14T Pro, it looks equally premium. Compared to last year, there are a few upgrades, a new chipset, faster storage, and a new selfie camera. Another change is that there's no charger included in the box this time around, not necessarily a good thing. The design has been tweaked as well. While the Xiaomi 13T was curvy, the new model is all flat and squared off. You can get the phone with either a vegan leather backing or a plastic back with a matte finish that sparkles a bit in the light. The plastic frame is the same color for a more unified look, and it doesn't feel plasticky. The Xiaomi 14T also brings full IP68 rated dust and water resistance, just like last year. The display also matches last year's. It's a 6.67-inch OLED with a 1220p resolution, a 144Hz refresh rate, and Gorilla Glass 5 protection. There's plenty of sharpness here with a pixel density of 446 ppi, and you get goodies like 12-bit color and support for HDR10+ and Dolby Vision video, all of which you also got on the Xiaomi 13T. There has been a bit of an update involving the max brightness. There's a sunlight mode which allows you to achieve a high max brightness with the manual slider, nearly 850 nits. And when in auto mode, we max out at over 1350 nits, a bit brighter than last year. When it comes to the refresh rate, 144Hz is used for compatible apps and games. While swiping on the interface, you'll get 120Hz to smooth things out, and this can dial down to 60Hz when the screen is idling to save energy. The Xiaomi 14T has a pair of stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos support. They have very good loudness, and the sound quality is good, with well-presented highs and enough bass.
I'm wide awake, but you're a nightmare. I can't escape, I'm seeing you everywhere.
For biometrics, there's an under-display fingerprint scanner. It's fast and accurate, and some new animations and vibrations make it feel even snappier. The storage has been upgraded this time around. Now it's UFS 4.0, which is faster than the UFS 3.1 of last year's model. You can get the phone with 256 or 512 gigs on board, and that isn't expandable through microSD. The interface of the phone is Xiaomi's HyperOS on top of Android 14. It brings a few tweaks here and there compared to the previous MIUI, but it still feels quite familiar. If you'd like to find out more about HyperOS, you can check out our dedicated video. And for software support, Xiaomi promises 4 OS upgrades and 5 years of security patches here. The chipset of the Xiaomi 14T is a MediaTek Dimensity 8300 Ultra. Compared to the 8200 Ultra in last year's model, there are more powerful CPU cores here, and there's a new GPU too. In benchmarks, the 14T is solid. Its scores don't blow the previous models away, but they are a bit better, and they're on par with other current flagship killers too. There's plenty of power here for both a smooth user experience and gaming. The thermal management is decent as well. In our prolonged stress test, there was thermal throttling, but it wasn't extreme, and the phone never got hot, just warm. The Xiaomi 14T doesn't impress when it comes to the battery life though. Despite having a 5000 mAh battery, it earned an active use score of about 11.5 hours, which is lower than last year's model and many competitors. The phone supports 67-watt charging, and like I mentioned, there's no charger in the box. With a compatible adapter, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 72% in half an hour, and a full charge took 49 minutes. On to the cameras. On the back, the Xiaomi 14T has a 50-megapixel main cam, a 50-megapixel 2x telephoto zoom, and a 13-megapixel ultrawide camera. The camera hardware and chipset are very similar to last year's Xiaomi 13T, and the photo quality is similar as well. Daylight shots from the main cam have good detail and vibrant colors, and despite having plenty of contrast, the dynamic range is wide too. Shots of people also look quite nice. In low light, the main cam's photos are solid, with plenty of detail, good sharpness and a nice, natural-looking balance between highlights and shadows. The colors tend to come out a bit warm though. Daylight photos from the 2x telephoto cam are excellent. These photos look much sharper and more detailed than what you'd get from a 2x digital zoom. The colors and contrast are in line with the main cameras, and the dynamic range is great. There's also a toggle for 4x zoom, which uses a digital crop on top of the telephoto's output. These are still clean and almost as sharp as the 2x photos. In low light, the telephoto cam produces nice looking photos that are adequately sharp and detailed, with a wide dynamic range. Looking closely, there is quite a bit of added sharpening, and the warmish colors are back. The ultrawide cam's photos have narrower dynamic range and less detail and sharpness than those from the other two cameras, but for an ultrawide it's still decent. In low light, the ultrawide does okay, producing photos that are softer and with more limited dynamic range than the main cams, but can still be considered very good for an ultrawide camera. The Xiaomi 14T has a new 32 megapixel front-facing camera. While selfies are a bit better than the previous generation, they're still somewhat unimpressive. There's a good amount of detail and contrast, but the sharpness isn't amazing. The colors are somewhat muted too. The Xiaomi 14T can record videos in 4K resolution with all of its cameras. 4K videos from the main camera have great sharpness and detail, excellent dynamic range, and lively colors. But the colors are again a bit warmish. 2x zoomed videos are slightly softer and with less contrast, but they're still more than decent, with plenty of detail. And the ultrawide camera produces solid 4K footage with good sharpness for this sort of camera. There's electronic stabilization in 4K, and it's on point, smoothing things out nicely. Finally, low light footage from the main cam is okay, but not amazing. Highlights are clipped, and the sharpness could see some improvement. So that's the Xiaomi 14T. It packs a nice display and speakers, a solid chipset, and great camera quality. Where it falls behind is the battery life, but at least the charging is pretty fast. Too bad a charger doesn't come included though. Otherwise, the Xiaomi 14T is a nice upper mid-range all around, and it's worth recommending.